It started one quiet night in early November, the kind of night where the air feels heavy and the silence hums like it's hiding something. Daniel Miller had just moved into his late grandmother's old house on the outskirts of Vermont. The place had been empty for years, tucked between a row of trees that creaked even when there was no wind. It wasn't his first choice, but after losing his job and breaking off an engagement, Daniel needed a fresh start. Tanned, the house was free. The first few nights were peaceful. He'd sit on the couch, drink coffee, and listen to the wood settle as the furnace kicked on. But by the fourth night, something changed. Around 2:14 a.m., Daniel woke up to a sound. Soft, faint, almost hesitant. Footsteps. Slow, dragging footsteps coming from the attic above his room. He froze, his mind racing. Maybe it was just the wood expanding. Old houses make noises, right? But this wasn't random. The steps moved, stopped, then moved again, one at a time, pacing from one side of the attic to the other. He didn't go up there that night. Instead, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling until dawn painted the room in pale light. The next morning, he told himself he'd imagined it, but the look on his face when he opened the attic door said otherwise. The air up there was cold and musty. Dust floated through thin light, slicing in from a small window. The floorboards creaked beneath his boots, and there was nothing. Just old boxes, broken picture frames, and the faint scent of mildew. Daniel laughed nervously, shaking his head. "Guess I'm losing it," he muttered. But that night, the footsteps returned. Louder this time, closer. He sat upright in bed, heart pounding. The steps seemed heavier, almost deliberate, as if someone or something was pacing directly above him. He grabbed a flashlight and a baseball bat, whispering to himself, "You're not gonna scare me." The stairs to the attic groaned as he climbed, each step echoing through the dark hallway. When he reached the door, the sound stopped, complete silence. He hesitated, then pushed it open. The light from his flashlight cut through the blackness, landing on something new, a small wooden rocking chair that hadn't been there before. It was gently rocking back and forth, slow and steady, as if someone had just stood up from it. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He walked closer, the beam shaking in his trembling hand. The chair stopped rocking. He kneeled, touched the armrest. It was warm, too warm. He backed away, his heartbeat roaring in his ears. That's when he noticed the old photograph lying beside it, a faded black and white picture of a woman holding a baby. On the back, in smudged handwriting, it said, "He never left." Daniel dropped the photo and stumbled down the stairs, locking the attic door behind him. He barely slept that night, every creak of the house pulling him further into paranoia. By the next evening, he was exhausted, barely functioning. Around 9 p.m., he heard the footsteps again, but this time, they weren't above him. They were in the hallway. He froze on the couch, eyes wide, listening to the sound of bare feet dragging across the old floorboards. "Hello?" he called out, voice trembling. No answer, just the sound moving closer, slow and deliberate. He stood up, gripping the bat tighter, whispering, "Who's there?" The footsteps stopped, right outside his door. He took a deep breath, yanked the door open and found no one there. Only the faint smell of something burnt and a small handprint on the wall. It was small, child-sized. That night, Daniel didn't dare to sleep. He sat in his chair, staring at the ceiling, waiting for dawn. But as the clock struck 3:17 a.m., the old radio on the counter suddenly turned on by itself, static hissing through the air. And beneath the static, a soft voice whispered, "Help me." Daniel froze. The air felt thick, colder than before. "Who are you?" he whispered back. The static grew louder, almost angry, until the voice came through, again this time crying, "He's still here." The lights flickered. The footsteps began again, upstairs. But faster, this time running, frantic, desperate. Daniel grabbed his flashlight, hands shaking, and stepped toward the attic stairs one more time, whispering, "Okay, I'm coming." As Daniel climbed the stairs, the air grew colder, and the smell of smoke filled his lungs. The house felt alive, breathing, whispering through the walls. When he reached the attic door, it was already open, swinging gently, as if inviting him inside. He raised the flashlight, calling out, "Who's here? What do you want from me?" The footsteps stopped again. Then, from the far corner, he saw movement. A shadow crouched low, barely visible in the flickering light. He stepped closer, his voice trembling. "I can see you. Come out." The shadow shifted. Out of the darkness crawled a small boy, no older than 7, his skin pale, eyes hollow, wearing burned, torn pajamas. Daniel's breath caught. The boy looked up and whispered, "Don't wake him." "Wake who?" Daniel asked, stepping back. The boy's lip quivered. "He gets angry." And before Daniel could speak again, the attic door slammed shut behind him. The flashlight flickered and died, plunging him into darkness. The sound of footsteps filled the room again, but these weren't the boys. Heavy, deliberate, dragging footsteps came from the far side of the attic. Daniel pressed himself against the wall, his breath quick and shallow. The boy vanished into the shadows as a low growl echoed through the darkness. Then Daniel saw it, a massive, human-like figure emerging from the dark, its skin charred and peeling, eyes burning faintly red. It moved with a slow, terrifying grace, the floor creaking beneath its weight. Daniel raised the bat, shouting, "Stay back." The thing stopped, tilted its head, then spoke in a deep, distorted voice. "You shouldn't have come here." Daniel swung the bat wildly, connecting with nothing but air. The creature lunged, knocking him to the ground, the weight of it crushing his chest. He could smell the rot, the burnt flesh, the earth. He screamed, pushing it off, scrambling toward the door, but it wouldn't budge. The creature's hand grabbed his ankle, its grip like ice. "You took what's mine," it hissed. Suddenly, the boy appeared again, standing between Daniel and the thing. Tears streamed down his ash-streaked face. "Let him go," the boy cried. "It's not his fault." The creature paused, its growl softening into something like sorrow. Then both of them began to fade, their forms dissolving into smoke. The attic grew silent. Daniel lay